Hi everyone, and welcome to part 2 of my entry into Joachim and Markus's group build, wheeled vehicles in military use, where I am converting Airfix's 1/35th scale Austin K2 into the one used in the film Ice Cold in Alex, better known as KATY. Now in this video we're going to be looking at the chassis. Now as you can see from this still, this lasted about 10 seconds in the film, and this is the only time you see the actual original K2 front chassis. As you can see with the springs, whereas with 95% of the film we have the banjo style axle at the front. So general consensus of opinion is that they put the K2 body on top of a 4x4 CMP. Which one is still open to discussion, but general consensus opinion, it is the Chevrolet C8A. Now obviously I had to try and source this as a plastic kit and failed miserably, so I actually ended up getting the Chevrolet C15, and it's not too bad. I'm quite happy with the banjo style axle. Now as far as the rear axle goes, there is only one scene again where you actually see the rear axle, and this is the famous scene where they're changing the wheels. I personally think that this is the K2 rear axle. So did they keep the K2 rear axle? Was it only used for this scene? You really can't tell for the rest of the film. However, I made the decision to leave the K2 rear axle in on the model. Also, as you can see from these photos, there's also transmission that's been put into the middle, obviously because it's been 4x4. So I needed to replicate that in some way as well. Unfortunately, that came with the kit. And then we have this mysterious handbrake. No idea why it's there. I am assuming because they needed more grip for the famous hill scene near the end of the film. But we'll have a look at that in closer detail later. So here we have the parts on the instructions for the Airfix kit, pretty much keeping all of those pieces used for the conversion. With the other kit, I'm going to be using the front axle only. And as you can see, this is how it will all fit in. Also, you've got the transmission there in the middle. So lots of scope for bits and pieces to help me along the way. Now with this Airfix kit, as already mentioned, it is a nightmare for cleaning up. Injection marks and seam lines all over the place, so be prepared. So we have the leaves. I was tempted to make my own, but I've got so much on my plate with this, I just decided to clean these up as best as I possibly can, getting rid of all of those seam lines. Also, whenever you use any kit's leaf springs, try and just mark out the grooves, because they can easily get clogged up with paint further down the line, so it will keep that definition of detail. Now this is the bottom of the engine plate. This is all you get with Airfix. No engine at all. This got quite a hammering during the build. Lots of converting work done. Now you need to put on the front part. The join wasn't too good, so there was a lot of filler needed. Once all dry, just need to get your sandy stick out. Use it on the coarse side first to get the majority off, and then flip it over to the finer side. Just to get that nicely done. And then I personally just add a little bit of Tamiya thin on top, just to make sure it never cracks or splits open. So there we go. That was that side, and this side I'd already done, as you can see. Nice and smooth finish there. So working our way to the back, I've just changed the loops there using 0.4mm wire. That was quite straightforward. So this is the basis on which I'm going to base the actual model itself. There's just a photo there showing you the change that I made with those hoops. Now I've put the engine in here, and I've put in the rear leaves. Do not put the engine in, because that got taken out later on. This is the rear axle that comes with the Airfix kit. Again, nicely detailed, but needed filling and needed cleaning up, but I was quite happy to put that in the back. Now here I've put the other kit's front springs, so you can compare with the springs from the actual Airfix kit. It's quite a difference. So again, the jury's still out on the leaf springs, whether they change them at the back and the front, I don't know, but I stuck with the ones from the kit. And as you can see, with the Banjo one front axle, I had to make sure it was still the same width as the one from the Airfix kit. So unfortunately what that meant, as you can see, I stuck the leaf springs in. Big mistake. I had to unstick those springs, and I've had to do a bit of a bodge job and stick them on the side of the chassis frame itself so that they would all level up. Now I'm not going to know this until the end of the build, but they may have put the front springs, kept those the same in the film on the K2, and maybe put a 4x4 springs on the back. But until I see the difference in height between the wheels and the top of the mud guards, I'm not going to really know that. So the jury's still out there on what actual leaf springs they did use for the actual one in the film. So it was a matter of making do the best I could with what I had, and it turned out pretty well. It just meant I had to, like I say, stick them on the side. I had to make my own axle across there for the wheels to fit on, which was a major issue. Then I put the Airfix leaf springs on, and then it was a matter of just trying to make sure everything was level and lined up. As you can see here, I'm just making sure that the rear wheels line up with the front wheels with the springs, and then I actually attached the springs to the outside of the chassis, and that gave the same wheel width. And altogether, I didn't think it turned out too badly. I did a dry fit of the actual main hull. That all fits on okay. So for me, that was the first hurdle over and done with, getting that Banjo axle on. The second hurdle was working out how to get the transmission in and the drive shafts done correctly. So using the kit one and using the spare kit here, as you can see, just need a little bit of a clean up, but nicely went together. Not quite straight, but that was the best that I could do because the other one comes in at an angle as well, which you'll see. But I was thankful that I could use the Airfix kit there, and on the other kit I used their shaft and added a little bit of an extension, as you can see. And the silhouette is a little bit higher than the one in the film, so again we'll see how that pans out later on in the build. Now the exhaust needed restructuring, because obviously I've now put a Banjo axle in there. The actual Airfix kit itself comes with two parts, and in the film the actual exhaust end has a type of rubber coating on it. So what I need to do first off is just to drill out the exhaust hole, make it a little bit thinner. And then what I needed to do is just to clean it all up and then try and find a spring to put around the end to give that sort of rubberized look from the film. Now, just a quick interlude. I collect springs far and wide and just use them as and when I need them. This is my latest one that I found. This is the one where you put your needles into your body and release stress, etc. Very sharp, so just cut the wire bit off first, but they make ideal springs and easy to get hold of. Sadly though, too small for this project, so I reverted back to the 0.3 wire and just wrapped that around. Now looking at the fuel tanks, these were very poor from Airfix, so I made the decision just to make them up and then clean them back as best I can, and then I would add on the detailing myself. The ends got damaged quite easily, quite brittle as you can see there, but it was just a matter of making do the best I possibly could. So first off, to clean them all up, just get yourself a sharp knife. As always, be careful. And then once you got the worst of it off, it's a matter of getting the sanding sticks out and sanding and scraping it back so that they're all flush. This can either be done with a knife or a PE scraper. And in the end, me fingers got a bit tired, so I got the old Dremel out and put a sanding rod on the end and just finished it all off. Then it's a matter of just getting some plastic strip and just building up the detail, really. The top bits needed a little bit of trim to make them sort of like a triangular shape. because again, Airfix got all of that detailing incorrect. So once they were added on, it was just a matter of bending them around and then adding on some little 0.3 nuts and some styrene rod, and then we made the fuel tube a bit better as well and added on a couple of fuel lines. So all in all, a lot better. Pleased with how the fuel tanks looked. Now unfortunately Airfix have got it wrong on their positioning, as you can see here from this photo from the film, and also this photo from my reference vehicle. The actual fuel line on each side is actually on the left side, whereas here in the instructions they're saying it's on the right side. So just be careful, the instructions are incorrect on which side you should actually be putting your fuel tanks. So with those added, that was one of the finishing touches to the chassis itself. Then what we needed to do is just do a little comparison shot. So this is what it looks like in the film, and this is what mine looks like. I don't think that's too shabby. I'm quite happy with that. And with all the grief that I had trying to put all of this part of the build together, I was more than happy to see the back of it, and very pleased that I was now able to move on to the next phase, which we'll look at in the next video, which will be the main body itself. So again, just to leave you some stills from the film itself. Massive thank you to Markus and to Joachim for getting this group build all organised. Massive thank you to everyone who's popped in and commented and is supporting this build. And an enormous thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate all your continued support for my work. And in the meantime, everyone, happy modelling.